Welcome back. So let's take the same example that we were discussing a minute ago. One of the things is acceptance. What do you mean by that? Let's go to that country. I do agree there are problems in that country. I do agree it's a new country. Doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and start up the business there. That's acceptance. Avoidance, simple. Let's not go into that country. You avoid the risk completely. Sharing, you decide to go into the country, set up your operation in the country where there is a risk, but you share the risk with someone else. You decided to have a joint venture with one of your other members of the same industry, have a joint venture, go to that country and set up operation. You share the risk. You go ahead, but you reduce the risk. What do you mean by reduce the risk? You go into that country, but not in the scale that you were planning to go ahead before. You were planning to go ahead and set up a manufacturing operation there. Now you have decided, no, not a manufacturing operation, only a sales outlet in that country. So what are you trying to do? You are trying to reduce the risk. So next step is risk treatment strategy. The formulation of risk treatment strategy. Next is simple. You implement your strategy and you keep on monitoring whether you are doing the right thing. You implement the strategy, you keep on monitoring whether you are doing the right thing. So let me summarize quickly. The step 1, set up a risk management group. You need to set up a risk management group with the team of the organization. Someone needs to be heading it, like the chief risk officer. Then you need to identify the risk. You need to get the entire organization involved in the process of identifying the risk. Then you need to evaluate them. Then you need to decide the level that you are willing to accept, which we call risk appetite level. Then you need to develop a risk response strategy, how we are going to respond to the risk. Then you implement it. Then you go and review your process. So this is the overall risk management for this particular subject. So now I need all the students who are trying to go for the exam to think again of what I have been telling. I am trying to put the theory into the real world. I am trying to put the theory into a real world company. If you try to memorize the theory, if you go through the theory book, all the notes, that will never help you to pass the exam. You must be able to take the note, take the technical knowledge, go and apply into a real world company. Go and apply that into a real world company, because that is what your examiner would like you to do. That's what you got to do in a real world company. Therefore, SEMA is not about technical knowledge. SEMA is being a successful person in a real world organization. So this is the overall game plan. Now, let me concentrate for few seconds about what kind of questions that are possible. Now, if you look at those steps that I have been discussing, risk management group never tested to a great extent from 2005 to now. So be ready for it. Risk identification, well, you take any paper from 2005 to now, you will see a question from risk identification. So you need to go through the past paper questions and see whether you can identify the risk faced by the organization. Lecturers will never be able to teach you of what risk to pick up, because on the exam day, you got to identify the risk from a completely different industry. You got to identify the risk from a completely different project. Before the pre-scene, it would have been a completely different industry. You look at the past paper question, you look at MFT, it was a restaurant. You look at ACB, they were manufacturing small passenger aircraft. So complete different industries. Even now, having the pre-scene, the unseen could change the entire story on the exam day. So you need to see, if you look at the past paper questions, they may be different on the face of it. But if you go into the structure of the question, you will notice it's the same question. Examiner is trying to test your skills of identifying the risk. So as long as you master this skill, you're going to pass the exam on 24th November 2011. Right? So this is the first element that you need to consider about. Having discussed about the exam, there are many possible ways examiner can set a question. That's the same question that you should be thinking as at now. The same question that examiner was thinking in setting up the paper. You need to take the syllabus and you need to see how examiner can test my knowledge, my skill of applying this technical knowledge to a given case on the exam day. You think about it, then you will get the same frequency of the examiner. That's the secret of the game. I will help you with few. Examiner might give you a question a case study, 1.5 pages, and want you to identify the possible risk faced by the organization. Look at the past paper questions, ACB, May 2007 question, just a 1.5 pages about the small passenger aircraft manufacturing company for you to identify the risk. Or examiner will identify the risk already, and examiner wants you to recommend controls for the each risk. So examiner has already identified the risk, examiner wants controls from you. The third option is examiner will ask you to identify the risk arising from a specific event. Not like the ACB question. Not that you can go and identify any risk faced by the organization. You can't. The examiner will specifically tell you, please do identify the risk, but please identify the risk arising from this particular event only. Look at GHI question, where you were asked to identify the risk arising from buying their own hotels instead of block booking the hotel rooms. So specific event given, you need to identify the risk arising from that. The other option is examiner will ask you to identify the risk based on a classification done by the examiner. Examiner has given the risk classification 1, 2, 3, 4. You are required to identify the risk available for each category. Be ready for a question like that. Another possibility is examiner might give you the risk which has already been identified. Examiner might give you even the controls which has already been formulated for you to go and evaluate the controls and the risk identified by the examiner. Past paper reference, MFT. So these are the possible ways the examiner can test your knowledge on enterprise risk management. So I need you all to take the theory, go through it quickly, don't spend a lot of time on that, but think what the possible questions are. So that is the end of enterprise risk management. The next topic that we need to discuss is internal control and internal auditing. Internal control and internal auditing. What do you mean by internal controls? Internal controls are the controls established by the organization. What do you mean by internal control? Why do we use the word internal? Are there any external controls as well? Of course, yes. Look at an external audit. Is it a control? Yes, it's a good control. Auditors will come at the end of the year. They will check your financials. They will verify your expenses. They will verify your income. But is it something determined by you? No. It's coming from the law of the land. It's coming from the external sources to your country, to your company. So there's something called external controls as well. Internal control, now you will find it easy to understand. They are the controls established by the management. They are the controls established by the management. Now let's look at what we have been discussing and what we are discussing now. Earlier we discussed about identifying the risk, right? Then we discussed about evaluating them. Then we said you need to identify a risk response strategy. The risk response strategy that you are trying to identify is you might decide to reduce the risk. You might decide to reduce the risk. Risk reduction. How can you reduce the risk? You bring in internal controls. You bring in internal controls so the likelihood of the risk will come down, the impact of the risk will come down. So internal controls are the controls established within the management, within the organization, so organization can achieve its objectives. So again, the definition is unlikely to be tested, but good to know the definition. Then let's move on to the second part of internal control, classifications. Classification. There are 3 different classifications available for internal control. Any one of them can be tested, so you need to go through each one of them. The first one that I would like to highlight is you have detective controls, you have preventive controls, you have directive controls, and you have corrective controls. Let me repeat myself. You have detective, you have preventive, you have directive, you have corrective. What do you mean by detective? It's like a police detective. The police detective will come into the murder scene after the event and try to identify who did this. Same controls. Detective, you try to detect what has happened. Look at a bank reconciliation. Having a bank reconciliation, will you be able to stop frauds happening? Never. But the bank reconciliation will highlight, look here, there's a payment in the bank of $10,000 which was never approved by us. Therefore, it's a detective control. It will never stop, but it will identify after the event. So that's the first one. Now we need to move the preventive, directive, and corrective. We'll be doing that after this break. Thank you.